This training video is about portion sizes and how you can use your hand to estimate the portion sizes, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and fruits and vegetables. This is a really, really important skill to be able to have so that you can transition from tracking your food to being able to go with a little bit more freedom of eating when you're out at restaurants, when you're at social events, and when you're in a scenario, or maybe just in a season of life when you don't want to track your food all the time. So here's the basics of going through and understanding portion sizes. All right, so this is going to work well enough once you understand the basis of tracking foods so that you can use the portion size of how things look when you actually weigh them out compared to the size of your hand. And once you have some experience with tracking food, this can work really, really, really effectively in what we would call like a maintenance period where you're kind of letting a little bit more freedom happen with your food choices and not being so restrictive and tracking every single gram of food and weighing every single gram of food, all right? So as valuable as tracking food is and understanding some of those basics, this is how we can start to use some other tools to make things a little bit more flexible in the future, all right? So with your fruits and your vegetables, you can have approximately, right, one serving is about a fistful size if it's like leafy greens, and if it's more starchy vegetables like potatoes and yams, one serving is going to be a half of a fist, right? That'll be more like a full carbohydrate kind of serving. Now, obviously, fruits and vegetables and stuff, they're all different. So you're going to get different varying amounts. But the point here is that's going to give you about that 1 to 2 servings, right? If it's leafy greens, that's one serving. If it's something starchier, if it's fruit, that's going to be about 2 servings like that. All right. So you can use that. Um, the lean protein, your palm size is about 4 or 5 um, grams of a lean meat. So it's about one serving. Um, for me, this is going to be a little bit more than 4 to 5 grams of meat, which is going to be a little bit more than 25 grams of protein. But again, this is where it comes into how big your hand size is. And then once you have some experience actually weighing and tracking some food, understanding what that food looks like in relation to your own hand size, and then you can start to be able to make some better judgments along with this stuff. All right. So, um, those types of lean proteins, right? You guys know the basics of this. Lean red meats, poultry, fish and seafood, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, eggs. I wouldn't say is super lean. Egg whites you could do, but about 3 or 4 eggs is going to give you a full serving of protein. Tofu, tempeh, right? Your whole grains, beans, legumes, right? Carbohydrates. So this is the same thing as up above when I was talking about like about a half a fist size is going to be if it's a starchier vegetable like a potato or something like that. So the same thing goes here for fruits, whole grains, beans, legumes, those starchy vegetables, right? Pastas, flours, bagels, right? These are some of the more dense carbohydrate sources. So we just want to be mindful of that when you're putting that amount on your plate, right? And then the healthy fats. Fats are the most nutrient dense food. So that means the same amount of calories that are in that serving size of carbohydrates and that half a fist is the same amount of calories approximately that's going to be in just the thumb size worth of fats. So it's very calorie dense. There's 9 grams of calories, or sorry, there's 9 calories per gram of fat. And so that means a little bit adds a lot of extra calories. And specifically, if you're trying to lose fat, I find that people typically actually have a harder time reducing their fat intake because you can't really see it as easily as the protein or the carbohydrates that's on your plate. It's a lot bigger. It takes up a lot more room. So it's easy to see if you're overeating it. Fats can be a lot more difficult to see if you're overeating, especially if it comes in the form of like sauces, oil, butter, things like that, that you're not necessarily really going to see fattier cuts of meat. So things like that can kind of sneak their way into the equation without you being super aware of it. So healthy fats, small portions go a long way. About one thumb size is about 15 grams of fat, and that's going to be about 130 calories. So that can very easily get out of control if you're not really aware of where fats are coming from in your diet. But Little bits go a long way with that. Okay, so those are the basics. You got your fats, you got your whole grains, your beans, your carbohydrate sources, your lean proteins, your fruits and vegetables. And that's how you use your hand to estimate those portion sizes. And that can inform you how to balance out your full plate of food so that you have the right approximate macronutrient balance.